All right. Welcome everyone to the El Toro La Liga Show. Hopefully everything's all good. And so today I'm going to be obviously talking about Game Week 2 and a little bit of a review of Game Week 1. But obviously previewing Game Week 2 of La Liga. Obviously we just got La Liga back finally last weekend. And obviously there's a lot of games happening over the week. It's been a good week for me yes, I have a Rayo Vallecano shirt. They did win. But obviously, I saw Celta Vigo lose to Getafe. I saw Deportivo win away at Granada in the second tier. And just a little bit of a side note, I will be doing a vlog for the game on Sunday of Deportivo La Coruña against Burgos on Sunday. Hopefully, the vlog will be out on Monday, I believe. Hopefully, this coming Monday. But yeah, overall, it's been quite well in terms of Spanish football from my end. Probably not for everyone. But obviously, there's a lot to talk about. There's actually 11 games we have to preview because there is a midweek game next week, which we'll discuss, obviously. But before we get started, please do hit the like button on the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And obviously, let me know your thoughts in the live chat as well, as we will get started with the show. And yeah, it is great to have La Liga back as we had last weekend. All right. So the first game we have here is Real Betis against Alavés. Alavés with a win, a last-minute win against Levante, whereas Real Betis only had a 1-1 draw against Elche. So they both played the newly promoted sides. Alavés got the win. Betis couldn't win. And I'll say this to a lot of people. I think Alavés, I've said this, I think could be a surprise package this season. Maybe not get into Europe, but be like a not relegation fodder type of team this time around. But yeah, Betis still at 53% to win, a draw at 27 and 20 for Alavés to win. Obviously, it's still early on in the season. Alavés on 3 points and Betis on 1 point. But at the moment, the table doesn't matter within the first 5 game weeks, I would say. So some live stats. Obviously, this game is tomorrow, Friday night football, Friday. 9:30 p.m. I believe Spain time, so 8:30 p.m. UK. After 4 consecutive victories in 2020 to 22, Betis have failed to win any of the last 4 games against Alavés. And obviously, I remember Alavés actually beat Betis in the last meeting back in January, I believe, and that was probably the game just before Betis signed the GOAT Anthony. So yeah, that's a big one. But not gone 5 in a row without beating Alavés. Betis have dropped points in the last 2 home games in a row against Alavés. As I said, that lost before. Alavés have picked up points in 5 of the last 6 visits against Andalusian clubs. The only time being a 2-0 loss to Granada a couple seasons ago. Betis have not lost any of the last 14 La Liga matches played on Friday. So a pretty good stat they have. The last one being a 5-1 loss to Villarreal in 2019. Whereas Alavés have only lost 2 of their last 10 on Friday. So both teams have a good Friday record in La Liga. And finally, Betis have scored at least 1 goal in each of the last 20 La Liga games. 36 goals in total, the best run they've had in quite a while. And obviously this game is apparently played in La Coruña. I'm not sure if that's really the case. But my predictions for this game, I'm probably... look, I said I might be backing Alavés. I might have to back him here. I was not impressed with Betis, the opening game they had against Elche. I will see this as a 2-1 win for Alavés. So another 2-1 win for Alavés is my prediction there. And obviously, we get on to the Saturday games. But before we do, let's get through the chat. Big up to Nick Fadley. Big up to you. A nice font you have there as well. Great to see you. But yeah, Mallorca against Celta Vigo. Obviously, both these sides losing the opening game. Both at home, actually. Mallorca lost 3-0 at home to Barcelona. And Celta Vigo lost 2-0 to Getafe. But it seems pretty even. 32 for Mallorca, 31 draw, 37 for Celta. But yeah, Mallorca have not won any of the last 3 games against Celta Vigo. A draw and a loss. 2 losses, actually. So not a good record they have against Celta or Liga. Mallorca have lost only one of the last 8 home games in La Liga against Celta Vigo, so they have a pretty decent record against Celta in La Liga, especially at home. Mallorca have not won any of the last 4 La Liga matches. Obviously, they did play Barcelona, so it kind of extended there. Celta Vigo have won 4 of the last 6 away games in La Liga. So they have a pretty good record away, but not really great when it comes to traveling to the Islas Baleares. In their last La Liga match against Barcelona, Mallorca got 2 red cards, the first team to do so on match day 1 since Malaga against Athletic Club in 2014. So yeah, Mallorca, obviously, as usual, the more indisciplined team of La Liga. But I don't know. I feel like let's continue the bad streak for Celta. I'm going with a 1-1 draw in this one. 1-1 is my prediction. Both teams to score first goals of the season. Right. And next up we have here is Atlético Madrid against Elche. Both teams didn't win, but Atlético losing away at Espanyol when they probably should have won that game, but they didn't. As well for Elche, they got a draw at home to Betis on Monday night, so a pretty good record they have, I'll be honest. But yeah, 77% win ratio for Atletico to win, 16 for a draw, 7% for Elche to win. I'll be completely honest, Atletico should win this game despite the loss the other day to Espanyol. Atletico Madrid have not lost the last game against Elche, having gone 11 consecutive wins against them in 1988 to 2022. At home, Atletico Madrid have played 24 matches against Elche without losing any. So they have a pretty good record against them. Look, I'll be honest, even if I read through the remainder of the stats here, it's just not looking good for Elche. And I think it would just be the same case. I think Atletico, they have to really learn from that loss to Espanyol, and I think they will. I'm going with a 2-0 win for Atletico. I just think they'll be a little too strong for Elche in the game. The other game on Saturday as well, including the others that we've discussed, obviously we have here is Levante against Barcelona. So newly promoted side playing against Barcelona. Obviously their first home game coming back into La Liga. And now, obviously, it's probably not going to look good for Levante. Look, 9% for a win for them, 14 for a draw, 77 for Barcelona win. Yeah, it's just not looking good. Levante have not won any of the last 5 matches against Barcelona, the last time being a 3-1 win against them in the 2019-20 season. Barcelona have not lost 2 of the last 5 visits to Levante in La Liga, with 2 wins and a draw. And they've done really well against Granotas. Barcelona have not lost any of the last 16 visits to teams from Valencia. So those teams are Valencia, Villarreal, and Levante. So we have, as I said, 3 teams from that region of Spain. So they have a really good record against those teams from that region. And finally, a couple more stats. Barcelona have won 6 of the last 7 matches against newly promoted sides. The only loss being that probably infamous 1-0 home loss to Leganes last season in December, if anyone remembers that. And finally, Levante have won 2 home La Liga games, while the last time they've actually gone 3 or more in a row was back in the 2020-21 season. Last time they win La Liga. Predictions for this game, I'll be honest, I just don't really see much of a response from Levante. They got a kind of heartbreaking loss, but I think Barcelona will be a bit too strong for Levante. I might go with another. I'll go with a 3-1 Barcelona. I think Levante maybe get a goal here. Oh my God, fucking shut up. I don't know why I keep on honking. Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, I'm going with a 3-1 win for Barcelona in that one. Oh no. Come on. Okay. Just a little bit of a setup mixed up. But yes, next up we do have is Osasuna against Valencia on Sunday. Sunday afternoon. Now, obviously, Osasuna lost to Real Madrid, but I'll be honest, a really controversial penalty given to Real Madrid, which Kylian Mbappe scored. As for Valencia, they got a draw against Real Sociedad. So an okay-ish start. So it's a team from Pamplona against a team from Valencia. Osasuna, I think a little bit slight edge, 40% for a win, 30 for a draw, 30 for Valencia. So I think it could go either way, I'll be honest. I think it's a little bit overestimating Osasuna. Obviously, the new manager being Alessandro Liski. I'm not sure. I probably, when I actually, for my show in about 45 minutes, how you pronounce it. The new coach of Osasuna. Osasuna have not won any of the last 3 matches against Valencia, which is kind of why I think they're kind of overestimating Osasuna here. Osasuna have not won any of the last 4 games, home games against Valencia. 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 losses actually, not win. Valencia have won 2 of the last 5 away games in La Liga, so they have a pretty good record now of away games. Osasuna have won the last 4 home games in La Liga, keeping a clean sheet in the last 3, so pretty good, but that was last season, and a different coach as well. Valencia conceded the fewest number of fouls on the first opening game of the season, so something to look at. I'll be honest, I could see another draw here for Valencia. I think Osasuna might have to deal with that. I'm going with a draw. I might go with another 1-1 draw. 1-1 is my prediction between the 2 sides. So yeah, I'll go 1-1. 1-1 draw. All right. Next up, we have here is Real Sociedad against Espanyol. Now, obviously, both these sides picking up decent-ish results. Real Sociedad, as we just talked about Valencia, Real Sociedad got a draw against Valencia. Meanwhile, Espanyol got the biggest win of the weekend, I believe. Look, I don't really rate this current Espanyol team, I'll be honest. I just don't really think they're that great, and their loss of their goalkeeper. But look, they got that win over Atletico. They really proved me wrong in the first opening game of the season. And kudos to them. 52% for Real Sociedad win, 28% for draw, and 20% for Espanyol win. Obviously, we don't really need to look at the table because it's very different and everything. You can't really speak on it too much. There's only 1 game in. Real Sociedad have won the last 5 La Liga matches against Espanyol. And if they do, it'll be 6 in a row, equaling the best of a record against them in the top flight. Espanyol have not won any of the last 7 away games against Sociedad in La Liga. 7 of them. 2 draws, 5 losses. And it could be 6 in a row if they lose this game. Espanyol have lost 8 of the last 10 visits against Basque opponents, so those being obviously Sociedad from San Sebastian, you have Athletic Club from Bilbao, and you obviously have Alavés from Vitoria-Gasteiz. Not good record Espanyol have, the Catalonian side there. Real Sociedad have won 1 of the last 9 La Liga games. 1 win in the last 9. Obviously, if you want to discredit the one from this past weekend, a really bad run of form they had. And obviously, it's a little bit of a whole different, you can say, team and all that. And we'll see how the transfer window goes with them, Real Sociedad. Espanyol opened the 25-26 campaign with a win and aiming to go and win the both games to start the season off since 2008-9 season when they beat Valladolid and Recreativo de Cueva. If anyone knows what league they're in, I think they're in the 3rd league, 3rd tier, Primera Ref. But my prediction here, look, I'll be honest, I think it's a little bit of a lucky result. Not specifically lucky. I think they did well against Atletico, but I just think Espanyol might get found out here. Home advantage, Sociedad trying to at least build up some momentum for the season. Look, no Europe for either team. I just think Real Sociedad will get the win. I'm still sticking with a 3-0. I think Sociedad could get a big win here. 3-0 win for Real Sociedad is my prediction. Then, obviously, we still continue with the Sunday games. As mentioned before, we have here is Villarreal against Girona. Now, obviously, both of these sides are very contrasting results on Friday night, I believe. Obviously, Girona hosted Rayo Vallecano. Rayo Vallecano won, which was the opening game of La Liga. Then, a little bit afterwards, Villarreal hosted Real Oviedo and beat them, I believe, 2-0 in that game. And not good results for the opponents. But Villarreal, off to a good start. Girona, terrible start to the season. Probably one of the big losers of the weekend. 62% Villarreal win, 21% for a draw, 17% for Girona win. Now let's get through some of the stats here. Villarreal have not lost any of the last 3 matches against Girona in La Liga, 2 wins and a draw, but have never gone 4 consecutive against Girona in the top flight. But that's really because Girona aren't really known for being in the top flight. Like, they're still kind of relatively of a new team in La Liga. Girona have won 3 of the last 5 visits at the Estadio de la Ceramica in La Liga, a draw and a loss, with those being 3 wins. However, it's just, I don't really think they have a good record against Villarreal, more or less. Villarreal have won their last 7 La Liga games, the longest streak in La Liga since August 2007 when they got 9. So they could continue that streak and make it a long one. Obviously, going back to last season when they got into the Champions League. Girona have lost their last 3 La Liga matches, conceding at least 3 goals in each of them. Not great, obviously, conceded 3 against Rayo Vallecano. Have not gone 3 in a row in that. Villarreal had 25 shots in the opening match of La Liga, equaling the 2nd highest tally in a single match for them when they did 31 against Espanyol a couple or so seasons ago. Well, yeah. I just think Villarreal have the advantage here. I think they're in a good bit of hope and momentum and all that. I know there's a lot of controversy with the whole Thomas Partey thing, and I don't want to speak on that. And obviously they lost Thierry Barry to Everton, but I do think they have the quality to beat this Girona team. I'm going with another 2-0 win for Villarreal, so another good clean sheet and a good way to start the season for them. Next up, this is probably the talk of the town. The talk of the town. The talk of the town is that Real Oviedo are hosting Real Madrid in Oviedo. That, like, I looked at the ticket prices for this game. Look, I was never really going to go to this game, but the ticket prices are 150 minimum for that cheap seats. 150 million on the club site. 150 euros for one seat to go to this game in Oviedo. So it's the talk of the town. And it doesn't get easier when we talk about Oviedo's next away game. But this is actually Oviedo's first home game since getting promoted. So this is their first La Liga game back. Look, I am looking forward to this game, Oviedo against Real Madrid, because I just want to see how they would perform. I don't really think they have much of a shot here. Oviedo 10% win, 17% for a draw. Real Madrid 73% win. Obviously, Oviedo lost the other day on Friday, and Real Madrid won on a couple nights ago. This will be the first official match since 2002, obviously, when Oviedo were in any competition. This is the last time since the Copa del Rey. So it's been, 2002, it's 2025, so 23 years in the making? 23 years in the making for the first time these two teams meet. That's how long it's been for Oviedo and for any club from Asturias as well. Real Oviedo have won 1 of the last 11 La Liga matches. The only time they've had was a 1-0 victory in December 1998. Long time ago. I was only like 2 months old. Real Madrid have not won any of the last 4 away games against Real Oviedo in La Liga. However, when we talk about that, you're going back to like early 2000s, in the 90s and all that. So, look, much of these stats are more from like ages ago. This one here, May 2001, was the last time Real Oviedo won any of the last 6 La Liga games. Like, come on. They have not been in La Liga in like 24 years. Of course, they don't have a good record because that's 24 years ago. Real Madrid have won 11 and lost 3 of the last 14 La Liga games and could go 15 without a draw in the competition since 2016 under Zizou. Predictions for this game, I just kind of hope that Oviedo turn up, and I think they will. I just think the quality of Real Madrid might be a bit too much for them. I'll be honest. I think it'll be a really tough game for them. I want them to win Oviedo, but I just see Real Madrid winning. I'm going with a emphatic, unfortunate 4-1 win. 4-1 win for Real Madrid. It pains me to say it because I really like to see Oviedo do well against one of the big teams. Hopefully they will, but this is a little bit of too much to ask. And next up here we have is Athletic Club against Rayo Vallecano, who are playing in 2.5 hours from now because they are playing in the Conference League. Rayo Vallecano. I might watch that game. It depends on my show and all that. But yeah, Athletic Club against Rayo Vallecano. Both sides very good wins over the weekend. Athletic Club getting a 3-2 win against Sevilla. Rayo Vallecano, I said, getting a 3 win away. So that's pretty good, right? 56% for Athletic Club win, 26% for draw, 18% for Vallecano. Now there's no timeline or no stats on it, so I kind of have to base it on how I feel about both teams. Look, I just think Rayo Vallecano, they're going to put a lot of that hope and pressure on that Conference League game, and I just think Athletic Club might be able to just sneak by here. So I might have to go with a decent scoreline of a 2-0 win for Athletic Club. I just think that Rayo Vallecano, look, I'm wearing the shirt. I like both of these clubs, actually. I don't mind any of these two clubs. But I have to say, I just think Athletic Club, with no game in midweek, whereas Rayo Vallecano are playing like 2.5 hours. And this is on Monday, so not much of a turnaround, especially for a club that's not used to playing in Europe. I mean, it's only been their second ever time in Europe. But yes, Athletic Club, 2-0 win is my prediction against Rayo Vallecano. Now, there's still another Monday night game. Another Monday night game here. And that is Sevilla against Getafe. Obviously, we don't get the live match stats on this game. But yeah, my thoughts on this. Look, 41% Sevilla win, 32% for a draw, 27% for a Getafe win. I don't remember the last time Getafe won the opening 2 games in La Liga. That's how long it's been for a club like Getafe. So, yeah, I just... look, I'm not impressed with Sevilla. They were terrible in that opening half also against Athletic Club. They got 2 goals and almost, snatched at least a point there. So they have a bit of something. Whereas Getafe, they went to Celta, Vigo, and beat them at their own game and all that. And look, I've been a little bit more impressed with Getafe. Not so much so as for Sevilla. I think this might be a board draw. It could be like a 0-0 or 1-1. So I'll probably go with a 1-1 draw between Sevilla and Getafe. I'm just not confident in either side, I'll be honest, to get a win. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably actually say Getafe. I don't know why Sevilla is more rated. Now, there is a midweek game on Wednesday night. Now, obviously, we don't get the timeline or the match stats. And also, this is after both teams have played their second games of the season. That being Celta Vigo versus Real Betis on Wednesday, on the 27th. And the reason why it's scheduled this early on instead of it's actually part of game week 6 is because both of these sides will be playing in that special Europa League week, which is just the final week of September. And there's actually a La Liga midweek, so fucking hell, there's a lot of midweek games in La Liga, which kind of nice, get to enjoy it. But yeah, Celta Vigo, Betis, look, I can't really speak too much on the game itself, but if I had to pick a winner here, If you look at the win probability, you have 40% Celta Vigo win, 27% for draw, 33% for Real Betis win. Obviously, I think it depends on momentum of the season, and if I have to go based on my predictions, I'm actually predicting both of these sides to not win. I believe that was my prediction, that both sides don't win this coming weekend, but then they play each other. So I think one team will get a little bit of like a boost for themselves, and I might have to go with Celta Vigo narrowly winning this. I'll go 2-1 Celta Vigo. I don't like saying that. I would much rather prefer Betis winning, but look, I have to be a little bit realistic. So I'm going 2-1 win for Celta Vigo for the midweek game, because I'm not doing a El Toro show until obviously next Thursday and all that. But yes, that's right, people. And now it is time, finally, part of the show. It is time for the El Toro de la Semana, the Bowl of the Week, the best player of the weekend in La Liga. De la Semana. And my winner is Nico Williams, my star boy. Nico Williams signed his contract with Athletic Club, then puts on a goal and assist in Athletic Club's win against Sevilla. I think he was the best player of the weekend. Obviously, a few honorable mentions, or even teams. You have Getafe, Elche, a really good finish for that second goal against Celta, which I was happy about. You also had almost everyone in that Espanyol team. And the same goes with Rayo Vallecano with their win on Friday night. But yeah, actually, for people in the chat as well, I see. Please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, obviously. But yeah, I am picking Nico Williams as the first El Toro de la Semana, the Bowl of the Week for this 25-26 La Liga season. So yeah. So now it is time to talk about the Segunda, La Liga Dos. You could say, oh, La Liga Hypermotion. For me, as a Deportivo fan, I know I'm not wearing a Deportivo shirt, but I'll probably call it La Liga Hypertension, because there's a lot of fucking tension in the league season and all that. But obviously, game week 1 also happened. Obviously, I'm not going through all the games and all that, but I'll just give you guys the results. Right here, people. So the results over the weekend we have in the opening games of the second tier of Spanish football. We have Valladolid beating Cueta, which is a team. I know people say Chueta, but I say Cueta. Hopefully I'm not butchering the name. It's the team from basically mainland Africa that Valladolid got that win. Burgos getting a 5-1 win over Leonesa, obviously a newly promoted side being Leonesa. Racing Santander, let's see how much they're going to bottle promotion again this season. They beat Castellon in their opening game at home. Malaga they drew against Eibar in their game. Obviously, the one I was happy about, Deportivo La Coruña beating Granada in the opening game. We beat them, and we were pretty good in that game. Obviously, if you want to know my thoughts on that game a lot more specifically, you can watch my La Piña Rosa show, which I do with Charlie on Mondays, except the game or the show we're doing next will be on Tuesday instead, because I want to watch Newcastle. But obviously, we do a show about Deportivo La Coruña for me and Palermo for Charlie. So obviously, we do that. So if you want to know my thoughts specifically on that game of Granada Deportivo, where we won 3-1, you can watch the show there. We also have, believe it or not, the B team of Real Sociedad beating the A team of Real Zaragoza. I am not a big fan of B teams being in the second tier. I'm fine if they're in the third tier, but them being in the second tier is really just like a little bit annoying, I'll be honest. I don't know why the B teams of any clubs get into the top two tiers. I just think it kind of dilutes a little bit of the value of the Segunda, I feel like, but just my opinion. But they did get the win against Zaragoza, who are probably going through the fucking shit right now. Zaragoza, big club, but probably big shit for them. Cadiz beat Miranda's, and obviously Miranda's a very different team, different manager and all that. Look, I am not confident this Miranda's team are going to do what they did last season, and they start off with a loss as expected. Huesca drawing 1-1 against newly relegated last season, Leganes 1-1. And then you had Las Palmas 1, Andorra, yes, from Andorra, the country. Las Palmas 1, Andorra 1, and you have Sporting Gijón 2, Cordoba 1, and then we have the game of the weekend. Anyone that watches the Segunda knows this game happened. Anyone else doesn't. Yes, we had a 4-4 draw between Almeria and Albacete. 4-4, 8 goals. And I believe there were only like 2-3 goals in the first half and like 5 others in the second half. And at one point it was 4-2 for Albacete, almost heading into the, added extra time in the 90th minute or so. So yeah, that's a huge game. So obviously game of the week, obviously. As for game week 2, we have Eibar against Granada. We have Castellón against Valladolid. Leganes against Cadiz. Mirandas against Huesca. You have Cueta against Gijón. So the first time that the team from the mainland of Africa is actually going to host Gijón from Asturias. You also have Zaragoza hosting Andorra. Let's see how much of a shit they go through. Zaragoza. Obviously, as I said, Deportivo La Coruña versus Burgos on Sunday. I will be going to that game. I do have a ticket. 35 euros for a ticket for that game. But yes, I will be doing a vlog. I get to enjoy. I hope it doesn't rain. But it's typical of Galicia, it does, especially in like August or almost September time. But yeah, that's my prediction for Deportivo Burgos when I go. I mean, both Burgos 1-5-1, we 1-3-1. Look, if we win against Burgos, then I'm a little bit hyped. A lot of people, a lot of Deportivistas were all kind of hyped up of what this season can bring for us. I'll just sit on the fence and say 2-2, but I hope we win. Next, we obviously have Cultural Leonesa against Almeria. So let's see how Leonesa recover from that. They got a red card in the first minute of the game and were 1-0 down in the 5th minute or something like that. Crazy for them. Crazy return. You obviously have Malaga playing against the B team of Real Sociedad. You have Albacete hosting Racing Santander, and then that being on Monday, and the same game on Monday night, we have Cordoba against Las Palmas as the final game of the Segunda. All right, so that basically wraps up a bit of the show. But let's get through a comment here. I heard Villa to cash in or on cash out. I guess you're talking about Matty Cash. I'm not sure. I assume because Matty Cash did play for Aston Villa, and he does. But I don't really follow much Aston Villa news apart from the Jacob Ramsey thing, which actually, Nick and anyone watching this show, I will be doing a show in about 25 minutes with Charlie from Charlie's Takes. Obviously, we have 2 shows this season, so we're looking forward for our shows. So that's going to be something that we're going to be looking out for. I will be putting that in the chat probably. If anyone's interested, I need to find the. I've been really not prepared for this, but. All right, I think I have it. Let me see. Yeah, okay. I will be putting that in the live chat, everyone. The show that I'm doing in about 25 minutes from now with Charlie from Charlie's Take. Right there. So there's the link, if it pops up. This is the link for the Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur show that we're doing. A big show, first episode, just like we did with our first episode of La Piña Rosa. But yeah, it's been a really good show, I guess. I know it's not been a lot of people, but look, I still enjoy this show and all that. But yeah, big up to everyone. Please do hit the like button on this video or live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Obviously, as I said, I will be going live on my channel again in about 25 minutes with Charlie from Charlie's Takes, talking about Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur and everything that goes on with both clubs, because both clubs are in the shit, but also in an okay spot somehow. But yeah, bless up to everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in about 25 minutes, more or less. Both channels.